A four-day ceasefire is underway between the Syrian government and Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces following renewed fighting in the north. The government says the truce will give the SDF time to integrate Kurdish-led civil and military institutions into the Syrian state. The US says it'll be working to ensure that the ceasefire holds. Al Jazeera's Ayman Oghanna has more from Damascus.
The government and the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces said they'd reached a new common understanding on the future of the country's northeast. The deal focuses on Hasakah province, promising a phased integration of SDF institutions into the state while keeping Syrian troops out of major Kurdish-populated city centres and villages. Damascus has given the SDF an ultimatum of 4 days to fully integrate into Syria's institutions. The SDF say they are committed to the agreement. This is the second ceasefire between the SDF and the Syrian government this week. On Sunday, here in Umayyad Square, there are celebrations following the first US-brokered ceasefire on January 18th. There are no celebrations tonight, as some fear this ceasefire too may not hold. Even some in the government say they feel we still may see further violence.
To be honest, we might see some skirmishes. I would not say that it's violations or a breakout of violence, but we might see some incidents here and there that...
Such as?
It will be from a third party or uncontrolled parties on the ground.
The ceasefire announcement comes as Kurdish forces withdraw from the sprawling Al-Hol camp and other ISIL detention sites that they've guarded for years, handing responsibility to Damascus. Syrian officials accuse the SDF of using the ISIL prisoners as pressure in negotiations, even alleging some detainees were released, claims the SDF rejects. It warns that government attacks and frontline advances have made those facilities impossible to hold. Washington, meanwhile, is openly backing this shift. US envoy Tom Barak says the SDF's anti-ISIL mission has largely run its course, and that Damascus is now positioned to be America's primary partner against the group. US President Donald Trump says Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara still has his backing.
The president of Syria is working very, very hard. Strong guy, tough guy, pretty rough resume, but you're not going to put a choir boy in there and, get the job done. I spoke with him yesterday because we were talking about the prisons and, what was going on. We have some of the worst terrorists in the world in those prisons.
The latest ceasefire deal may be a watershed moment regarding the unity of Syria after nearly 15 years of division and conflict. Or it may be the start of renewed violence as the clock ticks down on the SDF to integrate after Damascus's ultimatum. Ayman Oghanna, Al Jazeera, Damascus, Syria.
Well, let's have a look at where the two sides stand. Under sustained military pressure, the SDF agreed to withdraw from two Arab-majority provinces it had controlled for years, Raqqa and Deir ez-Zor, home to Syria's main oil fields. The SDF retains control of Hasakah city with a mixed Kurdish and Arab population, and the Kurdish-majority city of Qamishli. The Syrian government said that its forces would not try to enter either of those cities during the ceasefire. Zein Basravi now joins us from the Tishrin Dam in Aleppo province. Before we get going, Zein, what are you hearing about an explosion that has been reported in Hasakah?
Well, we're here to take stock of how fighting has been going on in this part of the country, and the ceasefire seems to have been very quickly punctuated by another flare-up in the Hasakah province, as you say. What we're hearing, initial reports show that large number of government forces have been killed in an explosion inside an ammunition depot in the town of Al-Yarubiyah. Now, this is on the Iraq-Syria border. What we understand is that it seems as though the SDF was trying to blow up a weapons store that belonged to them, and this has, by all accounts, killed a number of soldiers, injured several others, and video of this explosion shows a large plume of smoke rising over a market area. So this is certainly going to be a major development today, the first day of yet another ceasefire in this start and stop peace effort that the two sides have been trying to engage in. We're also hearing initial reports that, according to local state media, that 7 other people were killed in an area by SDF sniper fire in another part of Hasakah province. So all eyes on Hasakah at the moment this hour.
And what about where you are at the moment, Zain? What's going on there?
Well, we've come to the Tishrin Dam. It's recently come back under Syrian government control, and we just wanted to give you a sense of exactly how intense the fighting between the Syrian army and the SDF has been to try to take control of territory, try to take control of critical infrastructure, fighting that is very clear is still ongoing. But this was a main market thoroughfare near the Tishrin Dam. This is a rural area, so this would have been one of the main thoroughfares here for different businesses, for shops, there's a pharmacy there, and as you can see, it is a complete ghost town now. There's a roadblock on the end that the SDF have set up. The army told us that this was as far as we can go because they have not had demining teams come in and clear the areas yet. Buildings are pot-marked with bullet holes. There's damage to every shop here. There's marks on the road where artillery shells have fallen. It is an absolute ghost town now. And as you can see, rebuilding Syria is going to be not just about getting people into main cities, not just about getting people to stop fighting long enough to be able to ascertain what the damage is. Every nook and cranny of every province in this country has places like this. This war has touched every spot in this country. Everywhere you go, you see buildings pot-marked, you see shrapnel damage, you see abandoned vehicles. We've driven up here and we saw a number of military vehicles that had clearly been damaged in fights, that had been overturned, supply convoy trucks, civilian vehicles, and they were covered in rust, which means it wasn't necessarily from recent fighting. What we've seen is the buildup of the devastation of this conflict over the last decade and a half, and they're still lying on the side of the road while new fights are carrying on.
Zain, what about reaction from people that you've been meeting over the ceasefire?
Well, we went to a community just on the other side of the dam, on the eastern side of the Euphrates River, and we spoke to these people who live in a village in rural conditions that haven't changed in generations, and they said that since the civil war began, for 14 years, they haven't had any schools, they haven't had any services, they haven't had any policing or security or anything that would make life normal. And communally, as a collective, they are hopeful that the ceasefire will take, that there will be progress in the future. But when you speak to people individually, there isn't a great deal of hope that it will last, and there is a thought that there will be more of a propensity for violence than for peace at the moment, with so many people still in the field of battle.
Zain, thank you so much. Zein Basravi there at the Tishrin Dam in Aleppo province.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news, expert insight. Like, share, stay ahead.